Good afternoon. My name is Deirdre Ducharme, and I welcome you to an overview of Airways. During this webinar, we will discuss the features of this new reporting system specifically designed for analyzing interim assessment data and provide information about navigating through the Airways reporting system. This is the fifth and final webinar in our series on the Smarter Balance interim assessments, and all previous presentations have been posted to the Connecticut portal. If you are unable to participate in our first 4 webinars, we recommend that you access the recordings to have a stronger understanding of the connection between the Interim Assessment Administration and the Airways reporting system. Though participants will be muted during today's webinar, questions can be posted using the chat and Q&A platform. All unanswered questions will be addressed at the conclusion of this presentation. Additionally, questions may be emailed using the contact information provided at the end of this presentation. I'd like to welcome my co-presenter, Dr. Christy Alberino, an ELA consultant for the Bureau of Student Assessment. Christy and I have worked for the Bureau of Student Assessment for more than 2.5 decades combined and serve in a national leadership role with the Smarter Balance Consortium with a focus on English language arts across grades 3 through 8 and high school. Together we have a deep understanding of the many components of the assessment-related activities, especially in the areas of formative, interim, and summative assessments. We hope that you find the information in this presentation useful as you consider the possible uses of incorporating the Airways reporting system to better inform instruction and improve student learning. In this webinar, we will introduce you to the Airways reporting system and provide information about the various features available. We will begin our visit to the system on the dashboard and explain the options available to users from that information-packed starting point. Additionally, we will highlight the Best 5, Worst 5 feature and briefly discuss how it can inform instruction. Finally, we will explore the Airways system screen by screen and demonstrate how data from the interim assessment is provided at the student, class, school, and district level, along with other valuable reporting features. As always, we have a lot of time for questions.
Thank you, Deirdre. So what is Airways? Airways is a new reporting system that allows teachers to see students' responses to the interim assessments. It also provides summary statistics on class performance on the interim assessments and on each item within an interim assessment. Just so we're clear, Airways only provides information on student performance on the interim assessments and does not provide information on summative performance. Before we open Airways, it's important to understand how all the different systems within the Connecticut portal work in conjunction with one another. Initially, educators can use the Assessment Viewing Application, or AVA, and the teacher hand scoring materials located in TIDE to help them determine which interim assessment block, or IAB, to give students. A teacher might wonder if the items within the block align with the curriculum or highlight a skill with which students are struggling. Then the test administration interface and the Connecticut Secure Browser, teachers can use that to administer an IAB to students. Student responses to any constructed response items are collected within the teacher hand scoring system for educators at the local level to score. Training guides and exemplar sets accompany each hand-scored item and allow teachers to familiarize themselves with scoring expectations at their own pace prior to scoring. For blocks that contain constructed response items, scores are available only after all the constructed response items are scored in the teacher hand scoring system. If no hand scoring is needed, which is true for many of the blocks, Scores will be available in the online reporting system and in Airways soon after the completion of testing. Again, just so we're clear, the Airways reporting system can only be utilized after students are given at least one block from the interim assessments. Each of these systems has their own user guide and training module available on the CSDE Comprehensive Assessment Program portal. Please refer to these materials for any questions regarding specific processes for each of these systems. The data visible in Airways depends on the user's level of access and blocks being viewed. The teacher view includes data for all of the blocks associated with a specific teacher. This includes all the data for any of the students who are members of that teacher's roster as of the fall 2016, as well as any student that they proctored. The school view includes data for all the blocks associated with teachers who belong to a given school. The district view includes data for all the blocks associated with the schools that belong to that district. Authorized users can navigate from a higher level view to a lower level view. For example, district level users can access the school view for each school within their district. Airways is easily accessible using the Connecticut State Department of Education Comprehensive Assessment Program portal. From the portal's main screen, choose the Smarter Balance Assessment button on the left side of the page. This provides access to all the systems associated with Smarter Balance, including but not limited to the digital library, online reporting systems, manuals, additional resources, and Airways. The dashboard is the landing page for all Airways users. After logging into the system, the page displayed automatically is My Assessments, which you see on the screen. This first screen provides you with various sorting options. You can find data by assessment name, the first column on the left, which lists the names of the interim assessment blocks that were administered. As an example, you can see that the interim block ELA Grade 3 Editing, if I click on that underlined name, I gain access to an incredible amount of class and student information. Our next screen will provide specific examples of that data. Next, I have a column entitled Test Reason, which is a category that allows you the option to assign a name to a test opportunity, such as Spring Interim or Fall Pretest. If no test reason is assigned to the opportunity, this column displays Unassigned, which is what you see on this slide. The dashboard also lets you know the number of students who completed the assessment in the Student Count column. Average scores, also known as scale scores, are the sum of assessment scores for all your students divided by the student count should you administer an interim comprehensive or an ICA, which is an equivalent to the summative assessment. In the column entitled Performance Distribution, you'll find the percentage of your students who performed at each performance level. There are 3 levels of student performance that are reported for an interim block: below standard, at or near standard, and above standard. Airways not only provides the percentage of students at each performance level on a given block, but color codes those levels: red for below, yellow for at or near, and green for above standard. Lastly, you can also review tests by the most recent date on which one of your students completed the assessment. My initial class data on the dashboard screen, as I just noted, offers a multicolored bar as a visual of the overall performance of the entire group of students on a given block. Looking at the data on that screen, I can quickly determine that my fifth graders were successful in meeting the expectations of the standards on the editing block as indicated by the blue arrow. While a quarter of my fifth graders did not meet the achievement standard on the language and vocabulary use block, since they are in the below standard performance level as indicated by the red arrow. To gain a more in-depth understanding of those skills my grade 5 students did not master in the editing block, I can click on the name of that test and get detailed information about their performance. The enlarged table, entitled My Students' Performance on Test, enables me to access information on each student's achievement level on that block compared to the overall class performance. Once you've selected the block you want to see, it will take you to a page of all your students who took that block. If you look to the left of the screen, number 1 is aligned with the word everyone. This portion of the report shows how all of your students average on the test overall, as well as the group average on each item. Now find number 2 on the top right of the screen. If you want to see the item just as the student saw it, you can click on the item number in the top row. This will show the actual item as well as the item details, such as difficulty level and target alignment. The answer is also provided for you on this screen. Perhaps you want to see how only one student performed across all the items on this block. Find number 3 in the middle of the left side of this screen. I simply locate the student and click on their name. This provides information on not only that one student, but compares the responses to the average correct responses by the group as a whole. Lastly, I can see each student's performance to an item. Find number 4 in the center of the screen. By choosing an item for a specific student, I can access their responses as well as the item information available in number 3. Let's try this out. When I choose number 3 and click on one student's name in the left column, we can see how the student performed on each item within the block. The screen that follows from clicking a student's name provides a detailed chart on how that student did on the chosen block and how everyone else did in comparison. As displayed, a 1 indicates that the student answered the question correctly, whereas a 0 indicates a wrong answer. This report also provides you with the performance level of the student for that block. Now I want to see how this student did on a specific item, such as item number 12. I click on the score under item number 12 that the student received, and I'm able to access the item with a response. The top section in the blue brackets shows how many students got this item correct. Here you'll see that 17 out of 17 did, and how many got it wrong and therefore received 0 points. Obviously, the students in my class have mastered the use of a comma to enclose a clause. The information in red brackets in the second section down provides the item details, such as the difficulty level and the target to which this item is aligned. The next section is the item with the answer submitted by the student I chose to review. And lastly, in green at the bottom of the page, I have my rubric or key. Continuing with the screen entitled My Students' Performance on the Test, I'm able to delve even deeper into the performance of each student to see where their strengths and weaknesses lie. Although almost all the students in the group were above standard, even those successful students had difficulties with specific items. As indicated by the red arrow, I can click on each of these colored items to the right and expand the chart to access more detailed data. As indicated by the arrow, I can view the best or worst performing items or all of the items comprised within that interim block that I've administered. For the purposes of this webinar, I have enlarged a portion of the screen entitled My Students' Performance on the Test that we've been looking at, so I can more clearly see a number of different symbols to the right of one student's name. The student, named Shira Paula, appears several times in this list, but when I review the facets a bit more closely, I see that those 4 scores are for one student, whose state ID is CT 999-0125, marked by a blue bracket on the screen. This shows me that Shira took the same block 4 times. The symbols to the right of her name indicate which occurrence we're reviewing, and if that administration of the block counts toward the performance of this group as a whole. The most recent assessment, indicated by the blue clock next to the student's name, counts toward performance, while the earlier submissions are marked by a number in a circle. The number delineates the testing opportunity, 1 for the first test opportunity, 2 for the second, and 3 for the third, as we see here. Those opportunities that do not count toward the performance of the test as a whole are marked with a yellow asterisk. I can open up each of these individual tests to see how the student performed within each occurrence. It is important for us to note that we are not advocating giving the same fixed form block to a student more than once. If a student takes a specific interim block more than once, careful considerations must be made when interpreting student performance, since the issue of exposure to the items and stimuli will most likely inflate the scores each time. Now let's look at the 5 best and 5 worst items. Using this feature in the system, teachers can analyze student responses to determine next steps for instruction. In this section, I've chosen the Grade 5 Language and Vocabulary Use block to review. When using this feature, be aware that the average percentage of students responding correctly to the item is presented. Notice that although item number 3 shows up on the 5 items on which students performed the best, only 64% of the class got that question correct, whereas more than 90% of the students understood and correctly responded to item 15. By clicking on the blue underlined item number, you can actually view the question as the students accessed it. Consider the type of question, the item difficulty, and the content matter when determining why students performed well on this. Some item types, such as single response multiple choice, are easier to respond to than a multiple response multiple choice. So let's look at items 3 and 15 to see why these items show up on the list of best performance. When I click on item 3, I get the screen that provides item performance distribution at the top. It then includes metadata about the difficulty and target alignment of the item, an actual display of the item as the student would see it, and lastly, the rubric or key. I've enlarged the sections of the screen so I can explain them. I need to consider first how many students really answered this correctly, and I see that 7 out of 11 got it correct. It is listed in the metadata as a difficult item for grade 5 that measures target 9, language and vocabulary use. This question asks students to determine which word is the most exact, said or demanded, and confused or unclear. The item type can be misleading for some students because students are required to provide the correct answer to 2 questions, not 1. So when we consider why a student may not have answered this correctly, we need to review the expectations of the item itself. I'm interested to see the skill that almost everyone has mastered in item 15. All but one student responded correctly to this rather easy item. It asks for the more exact replacement of the word drink in cold, refreshing drink, and the options are bouquet, cocoon, soda, and glacier. The responses and the item type combine to make this a very easy item, something to keep in mind when determining whether your students have actually mastered the use of concrete words to convey meaning. In my review of the five items on which students performed the worst, I'm interested in looking at item number 10 to see why my students weren't successful. The distribution chart shows that almost everyone got this item incorrect, 10 out of 11 test takers. It's listed as a difficult item for Target 9, language and vocabulary use. The item, a single response, multiple choice question, asks the student to replace the word was with a more descriptive word in the sentence. The cat was nearby, waiting patiently for the right moment to pounce. If a student knows the word pounce, then they will know that sat, stood, or watched don't really describe a cat's stance prior to pouncing. This is a grade 5 word, so students may not have learned the word pounce. Crouched, although a grade 4 word, is a very specific word, and again, it may be that students haven't been exposed to this particular word. This might tell me that when my students are writing or even speaking, they need to be more encouraged to replace general words with descriptive, specific, grade-appropriate vocabulary. There is one last option on this page I want to review before I move on to other features in this system. In my review of the best or worst items, in this case the best, I see that item 15 was missed by only one student. By clicking on that item, I can see the response from that student for the specific item. If you remember this item from earlier in the presentation, one student was asked to replace the word drink with a more exact word, and the choices were, again, bouquet, cocoon, soda, and glacier. This student chose bouquet, leading me to believe that they didn't know the meaning of the word, or perhaps they thought this was a trick question since it was so simple. But when I review the student's performance on the block as a whole, I see something very different. I can find this report by clicking on the student's name. This report shows me that this student either falls very far behind their peers, or perhaps did not take this test seriously. Their below standard performance level rating is due to the fact that they only answered one question correctly out of 15 items. But since I know my own students, I would be able to determine a possible reason for this score. I could also use this screen to help me see a specific student's strengths or weaknesses within a targeted area.
Now we will look at other features of the Airways reporting system. Airways reporting, the Airways reporting system navigation is based on the text in the top left corner, indicated by the number 1 on the screenshot. The bold title indicates the current page. The links can be used to navigate to previous pages. Airways has other features to assist users. You may print or download the page you are viewing by clicking the printer icon in the upper right corner of the dashboard, indicated by the number 4 on the screenshot. If you want to be able to manipulate the data, you can save the file as a CVS through the print link rather than as a PDF. You will also be able to choose if you want to print or download a summary of the data, or the data including student scores and responses. Reports that you have printed or downloaded are saved in the inbox indicated by the number 2 in the screenshot. Teachers can also choose which test they want to see in the reports by selecting the task manager, indicated by number 3 in the screenshot. If you would like to go directly to the student's portfolio, listing all the tests taken by that student, you can search using the student's SACID ID, indicated by the number 5, in the screenshot. The print feature allows you to download and print various reports in the Airways reporting system. Select the print button at the top right corner indicated by the number 1 in the screenshot, and print options will appear. These options are indicated by the number 2 in the screenshot. If you wish to see the reports as they appear in Airways, select Print or Save to PDF. If you would like to do a deeper dive into the specific data, you may download the CVS file. For some pages and reports, when you select Print or Save to PDF, you will be given the option to either print the summary or also print items and student responses. We will now take a moment to review some final thoughts. We want to stress that Airways is a very accessible system, and since data cannot be altered during viewing, we encourage you to visit the site and peruse your students' results. For more in-depth information, please review the Airways User Guide located on the Connecticut State Department of Education Comprehensive Assessment Program portal. The Connecticut portal has a plethora of information on Smarter Balance assessments, as well as the alternate assessment, the CAP and CMT Science, and SAT assessments. If you do not currently receive the weekly student assessment newsletter, we recommend that you sign up for that. All of our user guides that have been highlighted throughout this presentation and other webinars are available on the Connecticut portal under the Smarter Balance tab and then the Manuals tab. For information in depth about the Airways, please refer to the Airways User Guide. If you need information about student and user management, rosters, and/or appeals, please refer to the TIDE User Guide. For information about administering online assessments, refer to the Test Administrator User Guide. To learn more about hand scoring items, see the Teacher Hand Scoring System User Guide. If you are unsure about network, internet, and software requirements, see the Technical Specifications Manual for online testing. And finally, the Interim Assessment Test Administration Manual can provide everything you need to know about the features, administration, and reporting of the interim assessments. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact us. We will now address unanswered questions that are posted during this webinar. If you have any questions and have not taken a moment to post them through the chat or Q&A, please post them now.
Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Everyone has our information. Oh, and we got, is it possible to get access to the PowerPoint is our question that just came up. Everything is going to be posted, the PowerPoint itself, with captioning. We've been recording this will be available in about a week on the web portal. We'll send you an email with a link as soon as it's been posted, and you'll have notification. Everyone who registered for this will get it. The next question is, just to clarify, the average score is only available for ICA. Okay, so the average score is available for all of the items and the overall test within a block for all of the students and how all the students did on each individual item. The only thing you would see for a comprehensive assessment is a scale score, and that will not be reported on a block. but we don't encourage you to use the comprehensive assessment without contacting us first, because the scale score that you're going to receive is almost exactly the same as the information that you would receive on the summative assessment. So you need to use that sparingly. Did anybody else have any other questions? Okay.
Again, we recommend that you use our contact information, follow up with any phone calls or emails as questions arise. We hope that you find the new Airways reporting system beneficial to help inform instruction. We thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful afternoon.